Hello people, today I have with us the AG031 Guard Spider Feidy, and this is from the mobile app Artery Gear Fusion, or Arterial Gear Fusion, something like that. Shinju Labs by RE Body Tech. I'm not sure who the manufacturer in this one is. I will look it up and put it on the screen for you guys. This is a, like I said, non-scale construction kit, and it is really awesome. I'm not sure, again, who manufactured this. It does remind me a lot of Soyata's kit, not only because of the color. You can definitely tell that there's a similar coloration to that bomber, the shipborne bomber that I showed off a while ago. But not just because of that, just the way the engineering is. It's got some of that old school engineering where everything basically goes together, just pinched together. There's no method of hiding any of the seam lines except for by covering them up with plates, which is, it's not bad. I'm not saying that it is, but it's not bad by any means, but it is old school in thought processes. So I'm not sure if Soyata had anything to do with this. I'm not saying that they did because I don't know. It just reminded me of building one of those Soyata kits with that old school type putting things together, and I will show you some of that when we get to it. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at her. As you see here, she is on a massive Mecha spider, and she's stuck in there in the middle. It's got quite a lot of feature to it, so you have, you know, all these legs, all these fine features all over the place. Would be a joy to paint this up. That is the plan in the upcoming weeks, months, years, or whatever, to get some paint on this thing and see what I can get it to look like. That said, just straight out of the box as it is, and this is straight out of the box, no touch-ups, no panel lining, no nothing. All I did was to clean up the nub marks so that it is a little bit cleaner for the video. You can see that there are some on here, of course, but I did try at least. It looks pretty fantastic in my opinion. There's a lot of color separation on these parts. There's a lot of big bulky parts and a lot of small fine detail parts of the yellow things right there. The little guards right here. The weapons themselves on her, you know, her personal weapons there. The back end there. Everything on this has just detail galore and just a lot of features. So I'll go ahead and cover the articulation on the suit, and then we'll take her off and I'll show you what it looks like with her. So first off, let's go ahead and cover the legs on this thing. There's a lot there, so there's going to be some issue covering everything out without messing too much up. So forgive me if anything falls off. This is quite a sturdy kit. You'll see I can rock this up and down, shake it. It is pretty sturdy, you know. I can just drop it there and it's staying, you know. These things look a little flimsy, look a little wiggly, but they're definitely sturdy. So first off, the legs, they join to her little skirt here via a peg that goes into up into the top here, so they can rock on that back and forth like so. Those pegs themselves have another peg that comes out, and you can rotate it like this. This also has two pieces of joint here, so there's a double loop there, and that can articulate downward like so, and then upward like so as well. That goes into a peg that slides into here. That peg is on a loop as well, so you can articulate this just a bit on that end, and then you can also rotate it just a hair too. But it is pretty tight in there, so you're not going to get that much out of it. The system in here also has some articulation. Let's see if I can get it to work. I've been having trouble with it. But each one of these legs actually extends out. Let's see. I think I have to bend it downward first. There we go. So you see, they actually have some locking features in there, and then this slides out as well. So there is that for a little bit more motion there at the end. and it gets her into her vehicle mode, which I will show you at another time. And then we'll slap that back up. Same with all 4 of the legs here. They're all exactly the same. You build them all at the same time. It does get a little tedious, but that is how these things are built sometimes. These guys down here actually slide out. See if I can do that. Goes this way here. I'm not sure what these are. If they're rockets, if there's something, any rockets, hover device, something like that. They are really cool though. I haven't seen what the game actually looks like, so I couldn't tell you what these are or what that feature is. The big butt itself plugs into the back of that skirt. This thing is also articulated, so if she wants to bend over, it can adapt to that any way you'd like. So there's 2 joints in there, and then another joint at the top that you can see plugs into her headrest here. Moving up from there, each one of these arms is on a small peg that plugs into the headrest, and that allows you to rotate it in this direction. 360 degrees there. Just whatever you run into is what blocks that range of motion. That's also on a peg, so you can move it out this way or that. And then there's a peg that slides up into the gun, like so. So that actually comes off if you'd like. That's not supposed to happen. But this part comes off, and that's the peg that gives you that articulation there. The gun itself is also articulated in this manner here. Pretty typical of like a Gundam or something like that. So I'll definitely try to give you some articulation there so that you can use that at a different angle with the hands that have limitations. And then last but not least on the Mecha, these guys here are on some really sophisticated looking arms. They plug into the skirt as well. There's 2 joints up here, 2 joints down here, and a small joint at the very end right here that ends up at a ball joint at the very end. So you can articulate this piece however you'd like. This one also slides up and down on that so that you can move it even higher or lower. So you can guard up high or guard down low. Like this. This is low, this is high. Quite a bit of difference there. Pretty cool though. And then of course you can articulate that on its peg so it can move outward or inward. Sorry, my angle is a little bit different than I'm used to. Plug this back in. There we go. And that is essentially all of the articulation that you have on the Mecha. So I'm going to take her off of there and show you what she's like off of it. And you can see the other features that she has. Actually, now that she's off of the vehicle, I can show you these ones I forgot were here. These are just on a little ball joint here, but they are protecting her upper legs and crotch area there. So it's a little bit of dimension on those skirts. So something cool that they added to it. And they are very, very able to be maneuvered any way you'd like. It's pretty cool. All right, and for the girl herself. So there isn't a lot of articulation in here, but that is pretty typical of something this small. What they do pack in here is pretty impressive. So there is one weakness on this form here that I will note. The head attaches to the neck, which attaches to a little bracket here, which is that yellow thing. And that does actually come off quite easily. So watch out for that. I would definitely think about cementing this portion in here that holds that neck in place. It is a pretty pretty complicated engagement system, very keyed, so it should hold everything in place once that's on. But make sure that if you're going to be doing any painting that you do that, because a lot of parts interlock with that piece there. And it's kind of unfortunate that it's loose. In any case, let's go ahead and show you guys what she can do. She is, like I said, ball jointed into her head here, so she can move her head any which way around you'd like to do. It is in a double ball joint system like they normally do on these girls, but it is pretty good there in terms of getting her to face which direction you'd like her to face. At the arms, she has a pretty nice ball joint system in her shoulder. You can see that head already coming off there, and I barely even touched it. So the ball joint plugs into her body and then articulates at the top of the elbow, at the top of the shoulder, moves up and down there, and can rotate on that. See, there it goes. On that joint. At the elbow, there's only one joint, moves right up and down like so. It is pegged up into here, so this is the point of rotation at the arm. Very nicely done, I think. They do have divots for the armor, so if you wanted her to fold her arm inward, it looks normal like that. Or if you do it this way, it also looks fairly normal with that little divot. The hand is a little funny. I'm sure you saw that I actually detached her hand from the weapon, but that actually moves up and down here. So you only get an up and down articulation, and then you have a rotation here. So it isn't as sophisticated as the ball jointed ones that most of the girls have nowadays, but it is substantial enough for it to work with the bulkiness of her frame. This set plugs into the top here, so you do have some rotation here and a little bit of motion for like a crunch. Not much. The thighs are very complicatedly built, but it is a rather simple form of articulation. It's just a T-peg that goes through here, plugs into her upper thigh, and you can move that all the way around and somewhat in and out. Not very complicated in terms of what you get, but the system is pretty complex. On the knee, you do have a double joint system here. It is pretty standard as far as what knees do. She can, of course, get some pretty good range of motion here all the way up to this. It doesn't fold flat like some of the others do, but with this bulky armor, I think that is pretty good. Looks nice and gets the job done. The foot is on a ball joint that plugs upward into it. This is simply pegged into the bottom here, so you can actually get a rotation on that anyways if you didn't have that ball joint, but it does. So it's very simple, but it is effective. So you can get some pretty good dynamic posing with that there. So as you see, she's not overly complicated, but that is quite a bit for how small she is. Now let me go ahead and bring out some other kits, and we're going to see some size comparison here. Here she is standing beside my high-grade Gundam that I normally use for size comparison here. He is quite a bit taller than her, but not substantially so. She might be small, but her mech definitely isn't, and adds a lot of bulk to what a high grade would get. Here's the Alto beside her, and they're right about the same height actually, which is pretty funny. And again, that mech is quite bulky compared to him. I think he could actually use that in a fight. That would be pretty cool. Here she is beside Jinrai from Frame Arms. That mecha is still looking quite bulky, but it does look at home beside the Jinrai. They do have a very similar aesthetic, I think. Here is our Frame Arms girl beside the little Feidy guard spider. And that mecha, again, does look at home with her. It's pretty cool. Not standing right beside her, but a little bit to the back, there is our Megami Device magical girl. And as you see, she is still a bit taller than our Feidy guard spider here. At home, in a universe where riding giant mechs is the norm, our Hexagear Governor Nero standing beside her. He's still only half her height, so there you go there. And there she is beside the giant Alex Gundam for a girl kit model, looking pretty short for how massive that guy is. The mecha also looks like it could be in a fair fight if they were actually the same size. Be pretty funny to see. So this set does come with a lot. I don't have it actually completed yet. So this is just going to be my preliminary review. I can show you some of the features that she included, including 3 face plates that are unpainted, and a feature which is uncommon for a model kit, which is a freezie pop, so she can enjoy that. Here is another form of her iron sight, is what that one is called there. You can paint this one, or you can use the one that was pre-painted. Here is a hairpiece without the iron sight fitting, so you can put that one on her. And she has holding hands for both sides and open hands for both sides. Two holding hands for one side, because one is specifically meant for the freezie pop, but I didn't put that one together yet. She also includes a very small stand, which is quite ingenious in that in order to lock it in place, you simply rotate it, move it down, and then rotate it back out. So you rotate it, push it in, and then rotate it back to lock in place. I don't know if you could see that or not, but right in here. Pretty cool. And then it is a ball joint up here, and you can move that however you'd like as well. That plugs into a very specific size port on her, and then the bottom here actually supports the spider's butt. The 3 face plates that they included are the one that she's using now, a very happy smiling one with closed eyes, and another with a very angry expression. If you wanted to change these out, you could also have a really ecstatic expression. They do give you quite a lot of decals if you wanted to change out her look. This one is on the box art. It's a little goofy and weird. I don't know how I feel about it. But these ones are meant for the legs and the armor on some of the parts here. So they are pretty cool. Not over the top, and they look like they would be easy to use. So I'm definitely looking forward to using these after getting this to paint. Last but not least is the instruction manual. Like I said, that funny face is on the box art there. It is a really odd one. Let me tilt this up and back so you guys can see this head on. It isn't full color, but it is in 3 colors, so that is pretty nice. It does give you a differentiation between the 1s, 2s, and the part numbers. That is pretty cool, and you can see that it wasn't an overly complicated build, but at the end here, this is where I'm at in the stage of building. You do have to build the inner part of the legs again in order to get her from the I think it's guard mode. Yeah, I think this one is guard mode. Let's see. Okay, so this one that she's in right now is called armor mode, and the next version is called, it doesn't say here. Let's see, it'll tell me. or not. Let's see. Actually, that's pretty cool too. These are the leg pegs that hold the big spider legs onto the skirt. You would swap those parts out here, and that would go on her so she could wear that skirt separately. And then she's got a little booty guard there too. And that is, like I told you, the hand that goes together to hold that freezie pop there. The other mode, though, is this one. I'm not sure what that's called, but it is pretty cool looking. You do have to rebuild the legs in order to get it in that shape. So we will have to see about doing that ASAP, and then I will give you guys a video on that as well. They also give you a nice color scheme there so that you can recreate the paints that you would need to get her perfect. So yeah, there's quite a lot left to her if I wanted to get her completed. I'm probably going to start painting this one before I do that, so she's probably going to stay in her box for a while. That said, this was a lot of fun to put her together. It was vastly different than any Gundam that you might have put together. She's a rather innocent looking. I don't think you can ever be charged with something, having like a perverted mind or anything like that with a girl that looks like this. She's fully armored. She's got a big spider on her. So if you wanted to bring this home, I don't think anyone would judge you too harshly for doing so. That is something that I think is a lot of concern with people when they buy or see these girl kits and think, I can't bring that home. That's going to be too weird. People are going to judge me. This is just a cool soldier girl with a really nice mech. And she is rather nice. There's not a lot about her that I can complain about. The only issue that I have is that head part that moves. There was a lot of putting together. So that is something that you're going to have to do. Between steps, I showed you the manual. It doesn't look like it's very complicated, but there is a lot of do this 4 times, do this 100 times. It's one of those things. So you might not have built something that's like that before, and it is tedious. So it's not bad, but it isn't the funnest experience while you're doing it. That said, it wasn't bad either. In terms of how many times you're doing it, there are only 4. Imagine if this had 6 or 8, that would be way, way, way harder. My opinion, this was a rather simple version of a very complicated kit that I had built before, which was the Dragon Girl from MS General that had 32 times of these parts and 64 of this. It was a really complicated setup. But if you're willing to put some time and effort into it, this one was a really, really fun one to put together. It wasn't overly complicated, like I said, just doing a lot of the same thing over and over. So you built this 4 times, this 4 times, this 4 times, that 4 times, put them all together, and it's done. It's just done. Also, I left that hand on there, and I just realized it. It looks funny, and I just wanted to point that out. Price-wise, she's a little expensive. I've seen her upwards of $80, but I've seen her down as low as $50. I personally got her for around $45, $49 because it was a dented box. If you can, try to find it like that. If not, there are a few places that still have her in stock. I've seen, I think it's around $65, $70 here in Southern California. Other places do carry her, so I definitely recommend it. Looking at the instructions, I did see that it was Orange Cat Industries that made this one. Wonderful model kit. So if you've ever seen an Orange Cat model kit before, if you've ever built one before, you know how good quality this is. This isn't something that's cheap. This isn't something that's flimsy. It's not something to be scared of like maybe a Hasegawa kit might be. It's definitely worth the weight in plastic. It's not something that you, like I said, you can shake this thing all about and it's not going to go anywhere. The only issue that I might have is that neck piece. That was kind of a poor design choice. So yeah, this one definitely earns my recommendation if it's something that you've been considering. This isn't something that would be terribly difficult to adapt to a Gundam. These pegs, I think, are actually 3mm. They might not be, so don't quote me on that. I might have to check that out later and make another video on it. But these legs would be perfect for a lot of different things, a lot of different conversions. I think you could have a lot of fun with them. So definitely be on the lookout for this kit if there's something that you wanted to do custom that needs a couple of extra legs. The girl herself is a really cool one too. She's small, so she doesn't actually fit in with a lot of the Frame Arms girls. She's even smaller than the Lurinel and Larinel twins. Actually, let me bring those out real fast. So yeah, here she is with the Lurinel. It's surprising to me that someone is that small, but the art style, I think, in that game is like that, so they should be that small. That said, it's not a bad thing being small, so it's just a really cute style, and I really like it. So again, another recommendation for me for something that you can try out to get into the world of the Mecha Musume if you haven't before. So that's something that you might consider. That said, I think that is all I'm going to say about this kit. You guys have a great day, and thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time, or you'll see me, but more than likely, you will see my stuff. Bye-bye.